Well, welcome to Stroke, the Journey Within podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Alva. Can you ever hear me okay? All right, today we've got a special guest. I have Melissa Hart on the left, and she's my beautiful co-host. We got David Primo here is going to tell his story. David, welcome.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself, David. Tell people about yourself.
Well, I'm a former magazine editor and publisher, and I did some university teaching. And surprisingly to me, I had a stroke. I had no idea that I had fib. I was a pilot and had regular physicals, but I had AFib and it resulted in a stroke.
Yeah,
And that's why I'm here today to talk to you about how I recovered from my stroke.
at that end, I really want to focus on your future because I know as a leader of Search TV Media, there are many aphasia sufferers out there. And I'm hoping that we can help them in some way get started on a journey of recovery. And so I want you to let me get right into your, right into your, David Yoshino did the TED Talk. And I'm trying to see if I can I'm trying to get the dog in. Hold on. All right, here we go, David. That's it. Here we go. This is David's TED Talk. Here it is. But then I have no idea why. Okay. We have a slight technical issues. Hold on. We have a technical issue. Hold on, guys. I get it. David, I'm very sorry about this, bro. I don't know why he's doing this. So I had no idea. There we go. Okay, so let's bring in David's TED Talk now. I'm trying to bring it in. Here it is. Now, if you got everybody know, this is David. During a TED Talk, pretty amazing what he's done. So let's get right into it. I'm trying to see my camera's in the way of my screen. So let's just start where it's at. Here we go, David.
It was 4 o'clock in the morning, and my wife is shaking me, and she's saying, "What's wrong?" And I looked at her and I said, "Jean, nothing's wrong. What are you talking about?" And she looked at me, didn't respond, picked up the phone and dialed 911. And that is the moment when I knew my wife had gone deaf. So imagine my consternation when the EMTs are trying to strap me onto the gurney. And I hear one of them say, "Major stroke." How can I have a major stroke? I don't smoke, I don't have high blood pressure, I don't eat poorly, I exercise, my weight is good. But I have since found out that 15% of the people who have strokes are like me. They had an arrhythmia in their heart, and mine was undiagnosed, called atrial fibrillatus. And when you have AFib, your heart doesn't empty, so some of the blood pools and it clots. And a small clot went up through my subclavian artery and lodged in my brain and asphyxiated brain cells, particularly the ones that I use for fine muscle control of my right hand and for forming words. Jean she could hear me, but she couldn't understand me. It was like she was talking to a German shepherd, right? The animal looks attentive, but the only response it can give is to go woof. Or in my case, off we go to the rehab for 5 weeks. And while they're rolling me down the hall, I look into some of the rooms and I see people just sitting like this, the head down. And I said, that's depression, and I don't want any part of that. Because the only place that you can go from depression is to despair. And I see other people, and they're watching daytime television. My brain is damaged. I'm not going to improve it by watching the daytime television. So I meet with the neurologist and the speech pathologist. And they say to me, we got your CAT scan and we got your clinical workups from the hospital. And we're frankly not really optimistic about your progression. And I said, But they did say, the only way that you are ever going to speak is to take a part of your brain and retrain it. It has to be able to now make words, and it never did that before. So I said, okay, I live on an island. I never wear socks. So I can take the portion of my brain that changes my socks and teach it how to speak words. And the good part of this was I could talk to it. I called it sock breath. And I said, okay, sock breath, let's hear you say neuroplasticity, because that's the process that I was using to reprogram my brain. I spent some time with the speech pathologist, and she started me out making exercises for my mouth. And then making sounds, not words, sounds. And when we got through the session, and I said, can I have a copy of that book? And she goes, no, but I will make you copies of the pages. So I took them and I went back to my room and I practiced and I studied and I practiced. And guess what? My 5-week stay in rehab ended in a week. Not because I was a good student, but because I had stayed fit by maintaining balance and core strength. I had the resilience that I didn't need the physical therapy that many people who have a stroke have to undergo. So I went home and checked into outpatient rehab. And about this time, I got an email from someone who sends me one every day, and about, 9,000 other people. And these are always inspirational sayings. And this one really struck me. It was from the valet of Abraham Lincoln. And he said, if it's to be, it's up to me. I like that. If it's to be, it's up to me. So I go to the outpatient rehab, and I met a very, very nice young woman who is going to help me with speech. And she got to the point where, I passed sounds and was saying small words. Oh, boy. And bigger words. Oh, man. And then, oh, frabjous day, sentences. And she would have me read. And every time I was reading, if I made a mistake, she would say, say that word 5 times and repeat the sentence. And if I made 2 mistakes, we would do the same things, except now I have to go back to the beginning. And in maybe 6 weeks, we finished the book. And I said, okay, what's now? She goes, nothing. What do you mean nothing? You know, I'm not ready. And she said, there's nothing else I can do for you, because you know how to make the sounds. You know how to make the words. You can only practice yourself. And I started reading aloud everything. The newspaper, my email. And I still, to this day, read to my wife every day. And that process helped. And a friend came in to visit me, and that was wonderful. But I had to get out of there. I had to go out with people. And I contacted my friends in Toastmasters. I had been a member for about 3 years. And how could you not pick them, right? It's an organization that has the tagline, find your voice. What had I lost? I'll go there to find it. And I went there, and it was so nice. There's a young woman named Patricia who every day, she's in the audience now, every Friday morning would be in my driveway to take me to and from the meeting. There was a guy named Paul who every single day would say to me, you sound better than you did last week. And that gave me hope. And that combination of a little bit of love and hope gave me some courage. And I took part in something called table topics. And these are 2-minute speeches on a topic you don't know what it's going to be until you're told. And everybody has a different topic. And it's a little of a contest of sorts. And I won. So I go up and I get my ribbon, and I came back down and I said to the person next to me, Rosemary, I said, this was nice, but it was a mercy vote. And she goes, oh no, it wasn't. You had logic, you were organized, you had reasons for everything you say. You just sound stupid. And I thought to myself, you think I sounded stupid now? You should have heard me when I checked into rehab. And I did sound much better that day. And I sound better today than when I won that ribbon. And I know that I will sound the way I used to be if I keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I learned a few things from these things.
It's time to redefine web hosting with Bluehost Cloud, the new platform built for...
One is, we will all face the vicissitudes of life. Sometimes, hopefully, not as severely as mine, but we'll all too will. And being fit will really increase your resilience. I don't care if we have to do another storm cleanup or you have to get out of rehab because you're fit. That's good. Stay fit, and if you're not, think about becoming that. The next thing that I know is that the people who are part of my life, both friends and family, acquaintances, they give me emotional and psychological resilience. They help me to be what I could be. And the last one is from the words of William Johnston. And he taught me to continue to strive. And by the way, I took that quote and I blew it up as big as it could be. And I taped it to my file cabinet so I could see it every time I walked into my office and every time I left. And if you don't know what a file cabinet is, it's a big wooden box made out of oak, and it deals only with a very specific app called paper. Whatever happens to you, whether it's good or bad, what is to be is up to you.
Yeah, but I love that, David. Love it.
It's somewhat odd to me to look back on that about
Is
5 or
it?
6 years ago and see how poorly I was speaking at that point. And yet I was doing a TEDx on it. It was true. If I keep doing what I'm doing, I will keep getting what I'm getting. And yeah, I have to work at it all the time. I'm a voracious reader. If you put me down at breakfast and I don't have a newspaper or my computer, I'll read the oatmeal box to you. I've just got to keep reading.
Now I told you in the green room, I know several stroke survivors with aphasia. So could you just please restate how bad your aphasia was? How bad were you when you first hit your stroke?
Oh, literally, when I went into rehab and I was hungry because I'd eaten for about 3 days at the hospital and I was living on IVs. And a young woman came in to my room and said, "Here's the menu. Order whatever you want for yourself for supper, and they'll fix it for you." And I'm looking at these wonderful things, and I haven't eaten in days, and I'm salivating like one of Pavlov's puppies. And I finally decide what I'm going to eat. And I pick up the phone and I dial it, and I could hear someone say, "Good afternoon, Mr. Primo. Do you know what you would like for supper?" And this is sounding a rehab kind of sounds like a fairly good hotel. And I started to tell him. The only thing that I could hear him say is, "What?" I figured, okay, I'm going to have to speak slowly for this person. So I went, "What the?" And then I hear click. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm going to starve to death in a rehab hospital because nobody can understand what I'm saying. So the nurse comes in and she says, "I've got to help you order your dinner because they can't understand you." So she and I did that same dance. She couldn't understand me too well either. And finally, I started pointing at things on the menu, like, the ugly American in Paris. And no matter what I pointed at, she said, "You can't eat that." "Oh, no, you can't eat that either." "So what can I eat?" So she explained to me that part of aphasia is a loss of ability to swallow. Consequently, they didn't want me to choke to death, and the only thing that I could eat was either the salmon or the meatloaf. So I liked fish. I picked the salmon, and they bring it up to me, and it's on a tray covered with one of those little aluminum devices. And it's wonderful aroma. And I lifted and I looked at it and I said, "This is cat food," because that's the only thing that I could eat. And I had to do that for about 3 days. So when they came in to talk to me about overcoming aphasia, I was highly motivated because I didn't want to be like those people that I saw when I was coming in with their heads down or watching television. And I certainly didn't want to go through life eating cat food. So I learned how to talk, which is much more information than you wanted.
Well, no, that's fantastic. But, David, I think it's really a point there that I want to be clear to anybody watching this now or after in the replay. Motivation. You are motivated.
Yes.
That is a key to neuroplasticity. You must be motivated. There must be a reason for you to do what you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple. The body, the brain will wire itself if you give it enough impetus. And the impetus is trying to speak. And sometimes, certainly if I'm thirsty, if I'm dehydrated, or if I'm tired, or if I'm agitated, it's more difficult for me to speak. And sometimes when I'm talking and I have to pause because I can't quite figure out how to say a word. One day, a woman said to me, "You must be very intelligent. You're so thoughtful before you speak." She had no idea. I couldn't remember how to make the word that I was trying to use. But if you work at it, and I still go to Toastmasters. In fact, I'm starting a club specifically for people with aphasia because if you keep practicing, you improve. And I was surprised. I was talking to some people at an aphasia group online, and I said to somebody, "Why don't you come to Toastmasters rather?" This guy used to be a psychologist, and he said, "No, I would find that intimidating." And I thought, if that's true, I have to figure out a way to make it not intimidating. And that's why I started our club, Articulate Aphasics. And we have people joining who are much more fluent in their speech than I am, and some people who are one step above being able to order breakfast. And it's a safe place to do it.
Well, David, tell us about your physics. Tell us about how you take your plight, your hardship, and turn it into a way to help people. Tell me a little about your Toastmasters for physics.
Well, when I got through the process of really being able to speak fairly well, I became a distinguished Toastmaster. I was involved in the politics of Toastmasters at the state level. And because that person in a meeting of Aphasics was saying that he was intimidated to show up at a Toastmasters meeting, I decided we have to have a meeting that's only for people who have neurological challenges with speech. And that's why we formed the club. And it's growing faster than I had hoped. And I'm thinking about, we now have 2 meetings a week. I'm sorry, 2 meetings a month. And I'm thinking about taking it to weekly so that people will have the opportunity. It's just a wonderful way to learn how to speak.
So you will
Find their voice again.
I will put the description to your Toastmasters Facebook group in the description of this video. But I think Melissa and David, I want you to notice, well, I noticed in your TED Talk, one, you looked around and said, you knew your speech was absolutely horrid, couldn't speak. But you looked around and you said, I will not be that way. But you refused. I remember you said, I won't do that. I refuse. So I am saying that you, stroke survivor, whether it be aphasia or any other type of issue you have, you have to decide to be different. To say, I'm not going to be like everybody else. I'm going to rise above it. Have you found that true to be true in your life, Melissa?
Yeah, it really came down to, I didn't want to be an ordinary stroke survivor. I wanted to be extraordinary. And the only person that was going to make me extraordinary Was me.
Yeah, that came when you said, Dave. Was it tell me you say something similar to that? Where you say, I believe it. I can't remember what you said. But you said, I will not be the average. I don't want to watch daytime television. I mean, I know many stroke survivors, you guys, that give up. They see darkness and they give up. They stop trying. And I think I will walk again. I'm in a wheelchair right now. I will walk again. I will drive again. I will talk again better someday. I keep going till it happens.
When I think of stroke survivors who are in that darkness or that spot, I don't like to think of them as giving up. I like to think of it as absence of knowledge. They don't know how to proceed. They don't know where to proceed. They don't know who to ask. They don't know how to ask. They don't know what to ask. But if they have somewhere to go where they can say, I don't even know what to say or how to ask for what I need right now, but I need something.
Good.
And then there's a
Well-
community that say, well, is it this something or is it this something? Or Jeff stands up in the back and says, could it be this something? And the person goes, oh my goodness, that's exactly what it is. But they don't find that if we don't build the something.
Melissa, you do one-on-one counseling for people to help them find their own motivation. And I'm here today because I know something that works. And it's not just my story. There's published research that shows that people with aphasia will significantly improve. Good scholarly research. And if they go to Toastmasters. And I want to help people get into it and get the benefits from it.
So does it help others besides aphasia or is it limited to aphasia?
With our group is anybody who is neurologically has a neurological challenge to speaking.
Okay.
The research has been done specifically with aphasics, but I know enough about the brain. Neuroplasticity
Right.
doesn't really care what my problem is.
And so your niche, so to speak, is the speech part
Yes.
of
Yes.
it, where mine is kind of the emotional part of
Mhm.
it. And I think we need teams of people with the different parts because it's too much for one person. It's really too much. And like I said, I'm not well versed in aphasia because I didn't have to overcome it. You're overcoming it, have overcame it to a great degree. So now you have expertise in aphasia
Mhm.
that I don't have, that I'll never be able to have because I haven't walked in those shoes. And that's why we need this kind of community, why it's so important. So many people just sitting at home in the dark right now. And my whole thought is if they can just stumble across this video and go, you mean there's hope? There's someone like me out there who couldn't order a meal off of a menu, but can now stand on a stage and speak to millions? That provides a significant hope that only we can provide because we're on this side.
I cannot but realize and say hope is everything. If you have to believe you can, there has to be a hope. You have to realize that you can get better, that you can. And I had a neuroplastician tell me repetition is the language of the brain. It knows repetitive motion. Now, David, there are people out there that listen to this podcast, and they're going to realize what advice would you give them for them to begin their journey out to deal with their aphasia, maybe become improved? What is some of the keys you give them?
Well, first of all, I want to give credit to all the really talented people who are speech pathologists and speech therapists. They do wonders. I never would have figured this out by myself. But when they get through, or when they're in the process of getting someone to the point of being able to, as I said, make the words and finally make sentences, that's when it's up to the individual to go find ways to really participate in life. And Toastmasters is one that's absolutely wonderful. And if somebody lives in a situation where they can't or not willing to go to a regular Toastmasters group, we're online. We have meetings every 2 weeks now, soon to be weekly, and people can join from anywhere. And it's a community of aphasic people. So there's no judgment and there's no reason to feel in any way intimidated. We're all there. We're all have been there and are improving. And we celebrate that improvement.
David, I will put in our second chance stroke survivors Facebook group, support group. David, Devin, give me something I'm going to give to them when it is. I'm curious that day is when the Toastmasters group is. When is it?
My group meets every Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern for an hour.
Okay, great.
So right now it's the second and fourth, but we'll be quickly going to every Thursday.
Melissa, it'd be great to have him on David on our team as far as getting that first responders that we're talking about into each hospital. But guys, I gotta kill it because it's 30. We've already been 3 minutes over time. But David, I cannot think if there's one. How do people get? What's best way to get a hold of you, David? What is the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, you can look me up on LinkedIn. Certainly, you have the ability to search my name on Google or any other search engine.
All right, that's good. So what I would do, I'll put David's contact information in the description of this video. But Melissa, any final question for David for wrap it up?
No, I'm so happy that he's able to educate me in an area where otherwise I'm not educated yet.
Yeah, it was kind of great. I'm looking forward to going to Toast, but I've been wanting to do Toastmasters for a long time, but I found it intimidating, honestly. I'll be honest with you. Because the local groups are on non-physic. But I don't have a future, but I do talk to you. I was speaking, so I will see you out there in your meeting. I will be there. So, David, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, Melissa, thank you very much, too, for being here.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Melissa,
next
thank
time.
you.
You too, David.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.